Do you love rom-coms? Do you wish you could talk about Christmas movies year-round? Then we have the perfect podcast for you, Hallmarkies Podcast. Throughout the year, we cover all things romance, holiday, and Hallmark, including recaps of every Hallmark show, like When Calls the Heart and The Way Home. You can also get loads of bonus content covering shows like Bridgerton, Sweet Magnolias, and Just Like That. We are an all-female group of friends who are passionate for these shows and movies and give our honest opinions as well as gush over what we love so much. But that's not all. Every Monday, there are interviews with all your favorite actors, writers, directors, and more. Check out Hallmarkies Podcast on all your podcast providers and on YouTube. That's Hallmarkies Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts.
The sun's shining, birds are singing, and all feels right in the world.
Until the season changes, and suddenly you lose your motivation to get out of bed. In fact, 1 in 5 people experience some form of depression, no matter the season or time of year.
At the American Psychiatric Association Foundation, our vision is to build a mentally healthy nation for all, because we want you to live your best life and be your best you all year round.
Please visit mentallyhealthynation.org to learn more.
More sail, cried the Sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another show. Wow. We got a solo one this time. No guests. Just little old me aboard Mighty Sparrow. I was actually just up the mast on my neighbor's boat, replacing their wind indicator, one of those fancy rigs that has a wire that connects it to down below and lets people know, wind speeds and directions and all that sort of stuff. We don't have that sort of high-tech stuff on old Mighty Sparrow. I just got the old classic Windex up top. Not making any judgments here. Nope, not at all. Not at all. Happy to help. I love climbing a mast. I like to make it super simple. Use one line, one halyard, tie a bowline, and make sure whoever's on that winch knows exactly what they're doing. And hopefully, if possible, there's a clutch in between the winch and whatever cheek block is running the halyard up the mast. But, secondary lines and this and that and all the other things tend to only get in the way. That's my thoughts, at least. So that's the way I like to do it. Smooth, easy, efficient. Oh man, we're on a little bit of a high here, folks. It feels pretty darn good. We spoiler alert, we fired up the engine. We got we got the engine to fire up. It was a bit of a battle. We're going to get into just updates, all that sort of stuff before it starts the show. If you love the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, consider checking out the links in the description. Maybe you want to become a monthly supporter on the old Patreon page and get this stuff ad-free so you don't have to listen to any ads at all. Or, one-time donations, PayPal, Venmo, all that stuff. Those links are in the description. And then, obviously, we have things like the shirts and the sweatshirts. Pretty cold out there up north. You might want to pick up a nice little sweatshirt. And then, obviously, we've got the books and all that sort of stuff. SailingIntoOblivion.com if you want to reach out for possible speaking engagement, keynote, any of that sort of stuff. I am more than happy to slot some more of those into the schedule. So we had a fantastic one last week that was absolutely amazing. It was really great to sort of tailor the story and the adventure to a very specific subject of water and water conservation, treatment, all that sort of stuff. So that was super duper fun. Shout out to Sandra, who was on the show, actually, as well, if you listened to the last episode, and just absolutely wonderful. They are almost, I think they're headed out in a day or two. They had some issues with the fridge, and they're going to get some parts further on down the road, but they are out of here and they're headed over the horizon, and I wish them luck, fair winds, and following seas for sure. Really, really fun to just be able to meet up, hang out, and also be able to do the speaking stuff. Like, I absolutely love it. My only thing, as soon as I finish one of those, is all I want to do is more. I just want to do more of them. If I could figure out the secret concoction to essentially be able to do 3, 4, 5 of those a month, oh my gosh, that'd be just absolutely amazing. But we'll get our chance. We're definitely nailing down some dates. We're going to be speaking at the Whaling Museum on Nantucket. If you're in Nantucket this summer, July 30th, we're going to be there. And that's only one of probably 6 to 10 other shows we're going to be doing as fundraisers and at yacht clubs and, all sorts of stuff up there on good old Cape Cod, possibly New Bedford, and as far as Gloucester. And now we may actually be working on Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Wow. We're going to try and just cram them all in there as best we can, because when I'm aboard Sparrow, the nice part is I can go from one place to another and bring the boat with me, because when that, the only icing on the cake to one of these presentations, one of these high seas adventure sort of times, is to be able to actually show the boat as well and have people come aboard, and then they get to hear the story and they can really picture what it must have been like traversing a gale on the Pacific and deep in the Southern Ocean. Who knows? But anyway, back to what we're doing now. So we've been on the boat for a few days, and we've had some highs and lows. I'm not going to lie. It got a little low. It's gotten a little high. Essentially, one of the first and foremost things, I came on the boat, and as usual, everything is shut down. I unplug it from the shore power. I turn I turn the propane off at the tank. The battery switch is turned off. The through holes for the scuppers and the sinks and stuff like that, those are all still open. So there's only a few things that I have to do, a couple of switches and everything like that. But when I went to turn on the gas, interestingly enough, it was quiet enough in the marina at that point that I kind of just heard a little bit of a hiss. Just enough to make me be like, I shouldn't hear that. I definitely shouldn't hear that. And it was a new bottle, straight from the grocery store. And yeah, a little bit concerning. Didn't think too much of it. The next morning, though, when I went up and I opened the lazarette, because, obviously you want to keep your propane in a sort of contained, separate, little tiny space that is not connected to the boat via any like open portholes or anything like that, and that also has low drain points, because remember, propane is heavier than air, so it sinks to the floor. Well, I could smell propane in there. There's literally nothing that's kind of more scary. I don't know, on a scale of 1 to 10, propane fire is probably about an 8 for me as far as scary. I think 10 is electrical fire always, because that one just, I don't know. I mean, that one kind of comes out of nowhere in a lot of ways, and there's so many wires and there's so many things. Like, that's why you always got to make sure you fuse everything. But propane, at least, usually it's going to let you know, just the nose test, if anything. And you can get gadgets and things like that, little monitors that tell you if there's a propane leak, if it's detecting it, that sort of thing. I don't have any of those on Mighty Sparrow, but I do have a solenoid switch. But long story short, I go through and I do, the first normal thing is to get a little spray bottle with a whole bunch of soap, dish soap and water, and start spraying it around and looking for leaks. And I see, boom, as soon as I start spraying it, because my connection point is made for 2 tanks to come into one unit, and then straight through the solenoid, and then straight to the appliance, which is my stove and my oven. And one of the old tanks, I see it bubbling up, and it's creating the little bubble foam and everything. And I'm like, boom, all right, nailed it. And so I go ahead and I actually look for that replacement part, but I can't find that. So unfortunately, just had to cap it and go and cap it, and then I spray it again and all that sort of stuff, and we're all good. But I'm still hearing the hiss. And this is where the plot thickens, because I have sprayed every little bit of this thing down, and with the solenoid off, so it's not allowing any propane to flow past it, it's still hissing. So I'm looking at this unit that has the connection points, and it's, honestly, I'm looking at it, it kind of reminds me of, have you ever seen back in the day where you had like an outlet on the wall that then had like a six outlet splitter that then had like a triple on one, and then a quadruple, and then an extension cord, and then like, maybe even a surge protector plugged into that, extreme fire hazard, just absolutely insane. That's kind of what this unit looks like. And I had never really noticed it before because it really was never any sort of issue, but I definitely started really peeling it back. And I'm kind of thinking to myself, I think we're in the market at this point to just replace all of it. And it's got this like overflow vent and all this sort of stuff. And even though I can't find it with the spray bottle, I'm fairly certain it is in that area. And regardless, even if this new part that I ordered, which is basically a new, I don't even know what you call it, essentially flow system, if you will, so that it has the ability to connect to propane tanks and then feed that to, all I have to do is hook the solenoid back up to that. And I'm probably going to switch the solenoid as well. But it's one of those where if that does not solve it, then I know the leak is somewhere in between. Well, one, I would know that solenoid isn't working very well, and that needs to be replaced. And number two, then I would know that there's a leak in the line somewhere, which, hey, it's one of those where if you're going to re-up the system, you might as well re-up the whole system. And if I can find the actual hose here at West Marine that's long enough to completely revamp the whole thing, well, that's what we're going to do. Because, I don't know, like I said, it's an 8 out of 10 on the danger scale. And if you can tone that down with a brand new system with all new hoses, that's not a bad idea. It's really not a bad idea. So old J-Rump's going to do that. But it was super frustrating. And that's what kind of catapulted me into this downward trajectory of procrastination. What else? Doubt. And I don't know. It was kind of affecting the momentum that I walked into this place with. And I don't know. It's one of those things where I try and see it, realize it, and then change it in that order. But sometimes you just don't see it or you don't care. And certain things have a way of just kind of like knocking you down. And then instead of getting right back up, you sort of like kind of get up on your side and you're like, And then you do less, and then you do less. And then the next thing you know, you're just like watching YouTube videos and you're like, I'm just wasting this wonderful opportunity. And I guess, I will say the weather had a little bit to play with that because it was really cold down here. And so not so great for being, up on deck and working on the boat, blah, blah, blah. Now it is really nice, so there's absolutely no excuses. I actually have the sunshade up, which feels pretty good. It does have a couple of holes in it. So I got to get the old sewing machine out, but I need to get the sewing machine out anyway, because one of the other projects on the list is to make a lee cloth for my settee bunk, because we may be having some guests on old Mighty Sparrow for a couple little offshore trips, and I want to make sure that we are super set for, sleeping not only in the double berth, but also the single as well, and be able to do it like on a run. And I don't know, lee cloth, I'm not the biggest fan of, but they do have a tendency to kind of make things a little safer, especially when the boat rolls and stuff like that. So that's kind of one of the other game plans. And that one's coming down the pipeline. I've got all week. So today is Sunday. We got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we got 5 whole days of project time. Now, some of the other projects we've been working on, obviously, is just clean this boat. We had a little bit more mold up in the forepeak, and when it comes time, when we finally find that place where we either haul out or we're in a marina that's so desolate that I don't have any qualms about using super loud power tools, I'm going to pull the false ceiling out of the forepeak and probably replace whatever wood is up there. I just got to inspect it because every time I come back down here, the forepeak where I sleep when I'm, docked up or anything like that is this. There's always just this black speckly mold, and I got to clean it up. I got my ozone machine up there. I've been blasting that just in the forepeak every couple of days. Do it for a couple hours, and that definitely seems to help. But yeah, I mean, this morning I woke up, eyes all puffy and all that, and it's no good. It's no good. So there's a lot of cleaning going on. But the big thing really for me was, or the worrisome thing, I should say, was the engine. Oh, yes. If you recall from listening to the series I did from the 17-day trip coming down here from Cape Cod, and we went through the gale and we had to motor through the comms and everything was all good until about 2/3 of the way through the trip when I fired up the engine, and what do you know? But the old fuel problem was coming right back to haunt us. And here were the symptoms in a nutshell. You turn on the engine, it takes a while to get her started, even when it's, warm outside. That's not a good sign. This engine, normally even you look at the start button and it's over the 70 degrees and that thing just wants to fire right up. So that's clue number one. Clue number two, you run the engine. After about 2 minutes, she starts to rev up and down as if she's starved of fuel, and then she'll cut out if you just let her. Then you got to bleed the system, and then you have to start all over again. Now, the only solution for this that I've been able to find over the years, because I've had to do this quite a few times, is to essentially get down there, keep the engine room open, which is loud AF. It's the worst. It's the last thing I want to listen to. The engine's loud enough with everything and all the compartments closed. It's another thing if you have to keep it open, but essentially run down there, pump the lift pump about 6, 7, 8 times, and then run back up. And I've had to do that for 20 miles on the Intercoastal getting into Beaufort, South Carolina. Shout out to Scott. Shout out to Colin Denker, who's almost ready to move out of his slip, which is pretty sweet. And then, it's one of those things where if I'm coming off of a nice ocean voyage, the last thing I want to do is have zero confidence that my engine is going to keep running to get me the last mile or two of a, say 2,000 mile voyage. I'm worried about the last mile. That's no good. It's not acceptable anymore. Now, obviously, the end-all, be-all goal is if I can stash away the cash, eventually to get a Beta 38 in this sweet baby. I have not totally given up on the whole idea of going electric, but, boy, oh boy, sure is going to be expensive both ways. And, yeah. If I could just swap the engine out, that'd be pretty nice. Already get the fuel tanks, So anyway, that's kind of the aim, at least. We will climb that peak when we get to the foothills. We're nowhere near even close by any means. I'm budgeting in basically all in, said and told, probably about $20,000. That's including a new prop and probably a new prop shaft and all that sort of stuff. So. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. I'm not going to lie, but I can dream. Maybe the podcast will become a resounding success, or maybe I'll be able to book a whole bunch of speaking gigs and we'll be able to make that happen. But right now it's kind of just out there, and it's a goal, and it does keep me motivated. So that's a good thing to have for sure. And I dream about it every once in a while. I think like, I open up the engine hatch and instead of the blue bullet, I see the red rocket. Oh, because those Beta 38s are painted red. And the old Perkins 4108. Yeah, she's as blue as the sky, blue as the sea is, that sort of thing. So anyway, that was the issue. So we're having that problem again. And I was, I definitely tested out my theory, and I from past experiences, this works. Every minute you hop down below, and it takes me 10 seconds to go from the helm to the engine, pump it 10 times, and then go back up, and then it runs for another 2 minutes, and I do that every single minute, so I jump the gun every single time. and that works. But I do have this fear of me down there pumping, and then all of a sudden it doesn't work. So, excuse me, getting the hiccups. I'm talking so fast. I'm just excited, I guess. But yeah, so that was kind of the issue, and I went ahead and figured, okay, we're not getting any air leaks in there. The one thing that I did notice is that in the past, when I depressed that little lever all the way down, I could feel the thumping motion of whatever oval cylinder it sits on, so that the engine just constantly pumps it itself. I'm sure it has a specialized name, but I don't know what that is. Now, when I was doing this back in December, I was not feeling that. There was no rhythmic pulsing or anything like that going on. So I started thinking, well, maybe that little lever that's inside the actual engine either slipped off or something like that. So I ordered that part. Obviously, I got a whole bunch more fuel filters because I know I got dirty fuel. It's not that dirty, but it's kind of dirty. And, soon enough, I'm going to get these fuel tanks cleaned yet again. I know, obviously, the best is to drain them and clean them out by hand, but that would necessitate cutting a porthole in the actual deck of my boat, in the cockpit, and then, it's such a can of worms. I don't even want to think about it. I'm going to just stick with polishing the fuel and hopefully finding somebody who can do a really, really quality job that cleans them all out. But the other thing is trying to burn all the fuel out. And so, because a lot of times I fill this boat up like once every year, maybe year and a half, which that fuel is sitting for a long time. That's not the best thing. So, if I can count on the engine a little bit more, and I'll tell you, heading back up.
Hi, this is Alex Kantrowitz. I'm the host of Big Technology Podcast, a longtime reporter and an on-air contributor to CNBC. And if you're like me, you're trying to figure out how artificial intelligence is changing the business world and our lives. So each week on Big Technology, I bring on key actors from companies building AI tech and outsiders trying to influence it, asking where this is all going. They come from places like NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, and plenty more. So if you want to be smart with your wallet, your career choices, in meetings with your colleagues, and at dinner parties, listen to Big Technology Podcast wherever you get your podcasts.
Cape Cod in July. I'm probably going to have to motor quite a bit again anyway, so that will sort of help. It's kind of that whole idea of like use it or lose it, if you will. But so I got that, and today was the day where I just dove right in. I've been looking at it, thinking about it, and I was just like, man, let's just do this. And the fuel filters aren't too big a deal. The primary is actually really easy. The secondary is actually pretty easy too, I'm not going to lie. And you have to take the secondary fuel filter off to be able to get to the lift pump. And the lift pump, it's got 4 bolts. They're pretty difficult to get into, but eventually get those pulled out. And lo and behold, when I pull this thing out, the little tiny lever that fits into the engine has about a 1/2 inch of play in every direction. This arm on the new one is basically like right in the middle, and it doesn't have barely a millimeter of play in any direction. So yeah, obviously that thing was worked, and just who even knows? It definitely could not have been functioning properly. So I put the new one in, got that all installed, put in all the new filters and everything, and went, sort of pressurized the system, and then cleaned up all the diesel fuel that leaked all over the place. Then I retightened everything as you do. Put a lot of Band-Aids on the old arms and stuff and on the knuckles. But yeah, essentially we got that sorted out. And then finally, after a good long while, and remember, it's been since December. I don't even know what day I rolled in here. I want to say it was sometime around the 10th or 15th of December I rolled in. Or maybe, I don't even know. I honestly can't even tell you when it was. But, yeah, got in, and that was the last time I ran the engine. So nearly 2 months have passed, and it's always a little hard to get the old girl fired up after that much dormancy, if you will. And yeah, we did it. We primed. We bled the fuel system. Had to do that a couple of times. I think it is one of those where it's kind of tricky. You think you got it. You crack the injectors and there's fuel coming out of them, and I like to do the system of like you crack the injectors, and then you go ahead and you fire the engine and you're running that starter, and then it's really pumping it through there fast. Close them all off, and then go ahead and finally, after, I don't know, maybe a 15-minute battle between me, the starter, and the engine, because I tried desperately not to overrun that starter, like 5-6 seconds tops, and then boom, stop, let it cool off for a while, come back in a bit, let the solar charge it up, all that sort of stuff. And yeah, eventually she fired right up. Oh my God. And it sounded amazing. It sounded just so good. And I didn't run it for all that long. I didn't, it was one of those where I was kind of like, just kind of like, let's take it easy. We'll take this in steps. We don't need to jump into the deep end. As I will say, part of me wanted to untie the lines and just go take her out. But I think it's going to be one of those things where if I can grab somebody else to come with me, hopefully Mark will be able to step aboard and we can maybe just go for a day sail or something like that. But I also kind of looked around Sparrow and I was like, man, we are in full dock mode here. There's just stuff everywhere. It would probably take me at least like an hour just to stow everything, so that it's not completely a madhouse the minute we start heeling or bouncing over any waves or anything like that. So, you can't just jump into it. But I think having that second person would be pretty nice, just as a little extra precaution if the engine decides to just completely die on me. I will, no doubt, before I do this, run the engine probably for about an hour or so on the dock here, just to get her up to temperature and all that sort of stuff, and do some preliminary checks. But yeah, I think, knock on wood, dink, 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 we may, raising my glass here, have fixed it. And if it does seem to work, and things do seem to be, back on action as far as the trustiness of this old Perkins 4108, well, we're going to order ourselves one more of those lift pumps, and we're going to get a few more fuel filters for sure, so that we are ripping, ready, and good to go, as I like to say, for any and all motoring situations out there at sea. So feels pretty good. Like I said, there's a bit of a high at this point because it does, it's kind of like, all right, we got there. We conquered that one. We did also, and I forget to mention this, but the first project we went through was the turtle box for the companionway hatch. To get down below decks on the boat, you have to slide a hatch forward, then you can walk down below. Well, when you slide that hatch forward, it doesn't just expose itself up on the deck amidships. Not at all. It has to be sort of kept in, and it has this lovely teak box, but it has a pretty old rotted deck, and this thing had buckled and all this sort of stuff. And it was kind of hard because I wanted to do a smash up, perfect job, get some 3/4 inch marine ply, cut one piece of it, fit it in there just perfect, lay the new or the old decking down, get that all adhered, and then do new caulk, all this sort of stuff to make it just look absolutely brand spanking new. And unfortunately, the teak decking is pretty whipped. It's pretty thin. I think, and to add to that, I was not able to procure the wood that I needed. Just logistics being here in this place, and it just isn't perfect for that sort of project. Because it's a marina. That's a boatyard project. This is a marina. I like to respect that idea. I probably err on the side of caution with that a little bit, but I do like to try and keep the construction efforts, in the boatyard and not in the marina, because it is super annoying. So that being said, I was able to just get some planks, basically bolt the sucker together, glue it, laminate it, do whatever I had to do to basically make it so that it can function. It should be pretty decently watertight, but also very easy to disassemble in the near future when I get up to Cape Cod and I have access to the right types of wood, hopefully some new teak, and can actually do a super high-end job to make that thing look absolutely amazing. Because that's the thing. I mean, I've destroyed and taken off the decking of this boat slowly but surely over the years, but I've never actually replaced and made it, better. And this, unlike the rest of the deck, which I wanted to be non-skid, this part of the boat, I want it to be like showcase. Now, to actually really do that well, though, I not only need to take this little decking section off and actually get one solid piece of marine ply underneath, but I also need to take all of the wood all around the companionway. That all needs to come out, which means I need to have a place, kind of like a workshop that I can do the varnish, where I can sand everything, where I'm not disturbing all these people. I wonder where that might be. Oh, I have an idea. That's probably going to be up on Cape Cod at the boathouse, that place we all love, especially me, that has a workshop in the basement, and I can take everything apart and make it finally glow and shine the way it needs to be shining. Because it's definitely got some wear and tear from the last 70 or 80 or 90,000 miles. I don't even know. And it's held up really well, but it could really use a huge revamp, I should say. And, the only thing I look at, because I'm looking at it right now, the only thing I think about are these stupid plug things, that essentially when you have screws going into wood, the norm is that you countersink them and then you put a plug in them. And then you sand the plug down, and then you varnish over the top of that. And then if anything goes wrong with that plank of wood, like it's leaking water or something's get rotted or anything like that, then you got to drill that plug out. Then you can unscrew it. Then you can unbed it. And then you can fix whatever you have to fix. And then you have to redo it all. And it's just such a miserable... it is miserable. It's a miserable process. And it seems like a completely useless process. And the thing on Mighty Sparrow is the previous owner, instead of actually doing the full plugs, he just put these little button-like things. It's like it looks like a mushroom, and it's got the plug. And I think it's meant to do that, where you just sand off the whole mushroom tip. But none of them are done that. So if you lean your back up against some of these things, and slowly over the years, these have all popped out. There's quite a few of them. And I'm thinking to myself, man, oh man, I'll tell you what I would love to see on this boat are some beautiful bronze finishing washers all over the place. Access to be able to pull off any of this wood that you want to yank out of here, and then you're good to go. And I don't know. I'm thinking about it right now. I'm looking around and I'm like, why? It would look better than unplugged holes. It would look better than these little button mushroom things. And I don't know, it just seems so much more functional to be able to unscrew things without actually having to drill wood out. That's just in my own opinion. I do know it does look very nice when you put these plugs in and then you sand them down smooth and then you varnish over it and it looks like, the wood is just one big piece of wood that magically stays in place. I don't know though. I'm more about function rather than how it looks, but I do kind of firmly believe, because I was in the hardware store the other day, and I've used a lot of the stainless steel little finishing washers, which a finishing washer, and I don't know, it could have a different name, but they're kind of like raised up so that the screw like fits in them just right. So there's a little bit of it's not just like a industrial washer. It looks like something that was meant to kind of look like it belongs on the deck and in eye view, if you will. And I don't know, the fact that I found some bronze ones, I was like, whoa, those are kind of cool. Or they might be brass, I don't even know. But looking around just at the handholds, which have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they have like 20 screws in each one. I kind of feel like I might go pick some up tomorrow and see about just throwing those in. And just to see how it looks, just to, get a feel, see if I like it. And if I do, we might be going around this whole vessel and juicing all of it up. And because there must be 200 screw heads that I can see all through down below on Sparrow. And, might be like a whole new chapter, if you will. So we shall see. But yeah, right now we're going to get 1 point for the turtle box. We're going to get 1 point for the engine. We're still 0 for 1 on the propane until we get our new part. We still need to do some sewing, get that stuff all sorted out. Still haven't even pressure washed the deck. I've got a new grab bag coming that hopefully is not covered with mold. It shouldn't be because it's brand new. And I can get all of that dialed down. And then I think more than anything, it's just going to be a little spring cleaning. The overarching goal here is of this little time, because I got to get out of here pretty soon, is essentially to leave Sparrow just absolutely pristine so that when I get back, if the weather is good within a day or two to just bust out and go for a sail, I can just go. Everything is working. Everything is functioning. The refrigerator works. Electrical seems to be just doing fine. I don't even have the charger on. We're just using solar. We're at 14.4. Oh, I love that. And we've got lights on. This is great. So we're, I don't know. I think we're in pretty darn good shape. So that's my update from this little marina period. Trying to get everything in shape and ready. And we got a brand new first aid kit. I hope that's not the Behringer of doom. Like, I hope a podcast down the line doesn't go, oh man, I'm so glad I had that first aid kit when I lost my finger. Hopefully it goes unused like all 2 of the other ones that I pulled out of that grab bag. I have so many old flares too. My, oh my. I really want to go set some of these off somewhere, but it is, it's not one of those things that's highly regarded as something you should do, like go fire off some flares just for the fun of it. Although I've got a lot of parachute flares that are out of date. I don't know where I'm going to use them, though. I like to just keep them around that way. Worst comes to worst, you end up in a life raft and you have, 10 out-of-date rocket flares, parachute flares. Well, hey, man, you might be in better shape than you would if you didn't have them. That's my thinking. But I think there is a point where pretty sure you can hand them off to either fire departments or the Coast Guard. So that's my thoughts on that. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this little update. Other than that, we're just going to keep forging forth. Go back to Michigan, get one more blast of winter, and then it's sailing time, everybody. It should be a lot of fun. We're going to fire up the Starlink again so we can do some updates out at sea. Hopefully get some more cool, fun people on the old podcast coming up here quick. And, we're just going to continue forging forth through this really cold, really rough winter, man. It's been, even all the way down here in Florida, when I was up there in Daytona doing that keynote, it was like 30 degrees at night. It was unbelievable. Iguanas falling out of trees. Absolutely amazing. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. And until next time.
This is Mike Bolo of Lexicon Valley.
And I'm Bob Garfield. Are you one of those people who sometimes uses words?
Do you communicate or acquire information with, language?
Hey, us too. So join us on Lexicon Valley to chew over the history, culture, and many mysteries of English, plus some wisecracks.
Find us on one of those apps where people listen to podcasts.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.